Hello, my fellow earthlings. How are you? So I am going to do a reading. I'm going to try. I'm asking. Will the ask be answered? I don't know. That's not how it works. So you ask and you see if you receive. I would like to do a reading that is reflective of the questions that I was asking throughout the entire zodiac that I just went through. About mankind. I just find it a really interesting reading, and some of the answers that we got in the zodiac were really profound, and I thought I would really like to know if I can ask sort of like a cosmic perspective from God's source, whatever you would like to call it. Who is mankind then? Who is mankind now? What lesson have we yet to perfect? What lesson? Now this is, I have a feeling I might be tapping in here because I'm not hearing what lesson have you mastered or perfected. It's what lesson have you mostly mastered? And then I'm actually gonna do the questions that I was asking in the extendeds, but I'm keeping it all here on YouTube for all of you, which is, what are the energies that are transforming around mankind? And who is mankind in the future? Are you ready to ask these questions? Because we may not get the answers that we're hoping to hear. I'm totally cool with that. Ready? Want to do this? All right, let's do it. So we're going all wild unknown because it tends to be the best deck for me for kind of like download. We're going to start with the archetype deck. I like that's at the bottom. I did a pretty serious pre-shuffle too after finishing all the zodiac. So you have the mask at the bottom. We have the, I pre-shuffled this shit. Okay, like that's weird because these are cards that were present in Capricorn, but there was something really profound about the Capricorn one. And that kind of solidified it for me that I think I want to ask this in a broader sense. So let's get started. Shall we? Humanity, mankind, asking of the cosmos, asking of God's source, asking of creation. Who was mankind then? Who are we now? What lesson are we still trying to perfect or master? What lesson have we mostly perfected? Who were we then? Oh, the mirror. Oh, that seems pretty profound. Getting in the way of our own visions is the first thing that's coming in for me. Being afraid to look at the truth. Who are we now? The Queen. Interesting. I'm really getting like pulled into the snake here. And oh, look at, oh my goodness. Okay. So far, I think the answers are pretty cool. So getting with this card, like it was very easy for us to get caught up in our own reflections, caught up in our own false truths, caught up in convincing ourselves and allowing other people to convince us of what the truth was. Now, the moon is so far in this card. And I always, to me, the moon is like a satellite of the sun. It's like the sun's ability to communicate to us. And if we look at the sun is the reason that we're here. Without the sun, we would not have a solar system. None of us would be here. So, but you can't look right directly at the sun because the truth is so powerful, it's blinding. But the moon will reflect that truth to you if you're willing to look at it. If you're willing to look at it. But in the past, there was not a willingness to look at the truth. It was more about looking at the self, at the ego, just the surface of who we are. But this is really beautiful because the moon is right here. This Queen's hand is resting on it. So I do want to say that there's a lot of tapping into the divine feminine energy as opposed to alienating ourselves from our divine feminine, which is whether you see yourself as masculine and feminine, we all have divine feminine and masculine within us, and we're all meant to utilize them in the healthiest way possible. So this does, for me, feel like there's been an embracing here. And the snake too, like it has the sense like it's this legless animal. It was cast out of the Garden of Eden. Its legs were taken away. It was forced to slither along the earth. Blame. Where do we put blame? And I like that. See, to me, the snake is not evil. They creep the shit out of me. But they're kind of, the whole idea for me about, you know, taking the apple. We were not supposed to bite the apple. But what if the apple was the only piece of fruit there? What if that was it? What if we really were meant to do it? But when we did it, we didn't like what we saw. We didn't like what we saw. So we had to create stories, false stories, to make us feel comfortable with what we saw. And I mean, this is embracing what we see. The snake is just wrapped right around the hand and resting it on the moon. It's like discovering the truth in all its discomfort. Oh, and I haven't been drawn to it the entire week doing these readings. Actually, probably more like a week and a half to get through them. The lotus flower, like a rebirth, a purity, a purification that is taking place. What's so interesting, though, is that this is almost like believing in false purity. Believing in false purity. The snake has an interesting, the snake's tail is wrapped around like a ruby, a gem. There are still some precarious things that we're going to come across in this journey of discovering our true natures. And there will be desires, there will be objects, possibilities placed in front of us that may be hard to resist. It's always the connection here. And I'm seeing it's more like a way out. It's not meant to be seen as something deceptive, something to deceive you, to entrap you. I'm going to tell you this. You're going to want to believe it. And you're going to want to claim this. Isn't it bright and shiny and beautiful? Has so much value. It's almost as if you take the truth, there's an out. And the out can make you feel temporarily comfortable. It's almost as if this is an energy. The truth is an energy that you can't, just like the sun, you can't take it all in at once. It will kill you. It will blind you. So what lesson haven't we learned yet? What lesson have we not learned yet as human? The vessel. I get a lot of vulnerability with that card. Vulnerability. Naked. Isn't that interesting? And we're talking about the Garden of Eden. And what was the first thing? They were ashamed of their nudity. They were ashamed of their bodies. But your body is a shrine. Your imperfections are actually your perfections. The imperfection of the human experience is actually a glorious perfection. The lesson that you haven't fully learned yet is that each lesson you learn, you actually end up further and further away from the sun. It's interesting. I feel as though this person is traveling through space. moving actually away from the sun, because there are many, many truths to be discovered. We cannot get wrapped up in just the truths that we find and experience here in this lifetime. I'm seeing played out, like on this card, like the Big Bang and everything expanding outwardly. Everything will be coming in again, right? It's almost like it's said, but I don't know that it's ever been proven. And I think because there's something to do with dark matter, that we are continuing to move out. I think I had read somewhere that in, I don't know, like 1,000,000 years, if Earth is still here, or 2,000,000 years, that we wouldn't see any stars in the sky because everything is being pulled apart. So you've been pulled apart. You're finding your pieces. This is only one step here. This is like a really cosmic, what you haven't fully learned. It seems like a really big answer, to be honest, for what I was figuring would come through. It would be like something to do more with, like, you know, your life here on Earth as a human being. But it feels more like, no, as a soul. As a soul, it's a big question, actually. And it's almost all things that you haven't perfected or mastered yet. Yeah, because you can't perceive, your mind can't perceive existence. All you see right now is that you are not connected, but yet you are. You just feel disconnected, but you're not. What have we mostly mastered? Mostly? Oh, the Creator. That's interesting. The Creator. We're pretty good at making stuff. We're pretty good at making stuff. I was like, almost like we make our own little cosmic Big Bangs. Each creation we make is an expression of eternity. Each creation we make is an expression of eternity. Being and creating. I'm hearing human being and human creator. And we talked over here about, you know, like the mirror image, like looking at the mirror of you. And it almost like they're painting what looks like it could be the beginning of, you know, like a bit of a side profile, just the outline. So it is almost like you're starting to understand just the outline of yourselves. It's explosive. Each level might seem tiny, like it almost feels like it's taken us 1,000,000 years to be able to paint an outline of ourselves. It's like it's taken us 1,000,000 years. If this is to be a finished portrait, like it almost feels like it takes hundreds of millions of years. We are creating ourselves. We are influencing our own evolution. Sorry for all that noise in the background. It's my little creation. He's going to school in a week and a day. Good. No, okay. You know what I'm gonna do exactly. We're gonna build this up, and you gotta wait till the end to see what energies are transforming around us and future us. I don't know this is going to be too far from where we are, because it looks like it's taking us like tens of thousands of years to get here. The bottom, the warrior. Oh, look at that. I love that the snake is incorporated in that image again. The underline is death and rebirth, is shedding the old and being born into the new, is redefining success. It is redefining what we covet. It is redefining what happiness and emotional fulfillment is redefining what we worship, what we cast away. Okay. And you know, you can see with this, like what we have mostly mastered, we haven't gone very far with. I'm asking from a very advanced source, you know, what we look like. And we're still tiny. It's like we spent 500,000 years just learning how to pick up the paintbrush. And another 500,000 years drawing a silhouette of ourselves. In truth, nothing can be drawn here until it's the truth. It takes a long time to get to every tiny little truth. The mirror, then, the nightingale. Okay, I'm going to pull everything out. And okay, now the queen. Oh, the raccoon. Oh, now I'm hearing that line from the song, A Queen Without a Throne. That's interesting. I'm not fully learned. The vessel. Oh, the cosmic egg. Your true potential. Your true potential. How vulnerable you are or are not. The creator, what we've mostly learned. But the lamb. Innocent. The innocent creator. The innocent creator. Because that's what it is. Nothing can be drawn here that is not true and pure. By the time this portrait is done, we won't look like we even look now. Like there'll be so many millions of years. And what this finished portrait would look like. I'm hearing Prometheus. The hyena and the dolphin. What a pair. The hyena and the dolphin. There can be no healing and no purity without confusion, dark, light, manipulation. These are two so opposite. And we have fire and water. I always think of like fire and water as how Earth started. The lava and the oceans. The lava erupted from within. The oceans cooled them and created ground, continents. This is a really intriguing combination, the mirror and the nightingale. I really feel like it's the lies that we tell ourselves. This is then the lives that we tell ourselves. Cast into darkness. And the lies that we tell ourselves about that. It's always with the nightingale. It's always darkest before the dawn. There's some very dark period here that humanity has come out of. I mean, it almost feels like there was at some point no hope. It was very dark. Jeez. It almost like feels like it was a miracle that we got past it. It feels like something that was thousands of years ago and it was dark. It has a feeling of everything was lies and everything was reflection. And if the truth was ever shown, the truth was immediately attacked. Ah, the nightingale. Yes, to kill a... I'm getting to kill a mockingbird with that. Isn't that funny? That's curious. I'm getting to kill a mockingbird. So I do believe that we have come out of it. We're definitely much farther. I feel like, okay, there's a lot of kind of metaphors in this, is particularly with this card, what we've almost mastered, but are millions of years away from doing it, is picking up the paintbrush was one of the darkest periods of time. Like that first step, it was touch and go. Would humanity get there? And, you know, I feel like these readings kind of, they surmount space and time. So I'm picking up like very vast time periods. I mean, I've asked a very vast question, so maybe I should have been more specific. But I'm sure some of you will see things in this that you recognize in your own communities or the world right now. But it is coming in as very vast, because I'm getting the impression that, you know, things that have even taken place in the last 50 years are like, you'd have to get a magnifying glass to see what point that is. A huge magnifying glass to see what little tiny dot that is on this beginnings of a portrait. So then, now, this is almost like being called to come out of the darkness, and it is a slow process. The darkness is almost more familiar, and the darkness in this case is the symbol of lies and deceit and reflection and projection. It is something that feels like it was a habit that was established at the point of almost human activation. Now, myself, I've always kind of believed that evolution and creation, those stories are actually not separate but combined. Because I really do truly believe that there are entities that are more evolved than we are, but at some point our souls would even find ourselves incarnating in entities such as those. And that the other thing, because I get monolithic energy with this, I feel like there's a little interventions along the way, and I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if am I meant to feel something about that? It's as if the teacher will not allow the student to fail, because failure is not a possibility here for whatever reason. So this point in time of this conscious awareness whether biting an apple, something kind of monolithic, that a vibrational frequency, a download, a DNA injection, I don't know what. But there are a lot of missing links in the human archaeology, or is that what? No, anthropology or whatever. You know what? Those bones and shit. So there's, like, it was a very dark period. And I do feel like that there are interventions here. And it's not that the intervention is meant to give an answer. It's meant to produce a vision, I'm hearing. It's meant to produce a vision. It's the seed of an idea. And let it grow. Just leave it be. And sometimes it takes thousands of years for this to happen. And we're coming back to the raccoon, because I feel like I'm looking at mankind's timeline here. And if it was, you know, the point where the sun supernovas, Earth is gone, the existence of humanity is wiped off the face of the universe, which will happen. So, you know, don't worry about your antiques and shit and that stuff's all going to be gone eventually. Is like, if that's from 12 midnight all the way around again to 12 p.m. I'm just going to call that 12 hours, right? Like, not a 24-hour. It's just 12. Each hour, I feel like from the beginning to 1 a.m. was the darkest time. Actually, no, I'm being corrected. It didn't go. It went much longer than an hour. On the 12, it went much longer. 3, I'm hearing 3. 3. But now each, wow. God, that was a long time. This is, if you guys could really, I can't get so much about the past here. It was as if we took a step forward, we took 2 steps back. At some point, we were about to walk almost like reverse, and then there's something here that's showing up like an intervention that occurred in mankind's evolution and moving past this dark period. It's just the instant that conscious awareness occurred. It's like looking into the sun for the first time, and it was dangerous. It was almost a dangerous thing to do. So I'll tell you, one of the things that I'm kind of seeing here is I'm seeing the rise and fall of civilizations with this, and why it took from 12 to 3 to get us where we are now. Like, each civilization was built on projection, falsities. There's purity within there, but the majority of the energy and the intention that was used was false. Every time, though, the nightingale, the mockingbird, wins out, the truth is always the medicine. And it is sometimes planted like a seed. It could be planted like a seed in a person. It is planted like a seed in a person. It could be a dream. Maybe these are even symbolizing like prophets, gurus. They're downloads. It's inevitable. Everything that we build must fall apart, because each time we rebuild it, it is more pure. But it is a long process. So I think I really needed to harp on that, because this is why we have the raccoon. That this darkness, we feel more comfortable in the darkness. We still do, but we are learning to embrace the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it is. I feel like I should do like a second reading. Like, can we just give us like a couple hundred years? I guess the question was really vast, so the answer is very vast. I don't know when this is. I'm not being given a timeline, but the next will be fire. The next one will be fire. The next collapse of everything that we've built will be through fire. I'm just kind of sort of assuming that flooding was the last. The next one will be fire. I am hearing like, don't worry about it. I don't know if that means it's not in your lifetime, so don't worry about it. But everything, I am getting the message. Everything that we've built will be gone. It will be gone, and we will be rebuilding again. We're approaching 5 o'clock, I'm hearing. We're approaching 5 o'clock. And that will be another dark period. But it's like every time this happens, there's a seed of truth that doesn't get lost. Everything else that wasn't true is burned away. We have a really, I'm hearing, you humans have a very unique way of adding a lot of stuff to the recipe that doesn't need to be there. So you need to keep like destroying the recipe, and then you finally get to, oh, that's crazy. Because the vessel talks about that in the book. Are you the container or are you the stew? What are you? Learning that. Because the ingredients that we keep putting in are unnecessary. So we continuously need to purify. Every time we purify, we do hang on to the pieces of the ingredients that are needed for absolute truth and actualization of the human experience. For a million things, we will build up and claim a million lies. And within those million lies, there lies one truth. And each truth is so profoundly important that it is worth the effort to move through a million lies to get to the one truth. And then once the snake is moving towards, yes, there's a truth here in this ruby. Something's been found. There's a truth in the ruby and something's been found. The snake moves towards the lotus because the lotus has been blossoming. Almost like from 3 to 4 o'clock, the lotus was coming up and opening. And now from 4 to 5, the lotus is starting to close and come back down. So we've claimed some sort of truth. Maybe this truth has something to do with what we've hidden from. This seems like that seems like a whole reading in itself, to ask what these individual truths are that are discovered through humanity's evolution. But once the first truth was finally claimed, there was millions and millions and millions of lies and falsities that we followed erroneously to get to that first truth. But the minute we get that first truth, like this was a glory. I'm really feeling like this in the past, this mirror in the nightingale, the minute it finally took seed, it was almost like the heavens opened up. The heavens just like finally, like there was hope. There was hope. Because the seed took. And at that point, I really feel like the interventions aren't as important. There was a lot of interventions here. But anywho, so now there's a truth that has been discovered in humanity. I feel like this snake holds this truth and humanity holds the snake. Humanity does not yet hold this truth. It's about to be discovered. And as this gets pulled up into the hand of humanity, at the same time, the head of the snake is moving down into the lotus flower, like in a very cyclical nature. And once this snake's head gets down into the lotus flower, then the fires come. And everything is destroyed again. Because another truth has been claimed. So now we just build on those. I'm hearing 2. Maybe there's 12 truths. No. Because, well, no. Okay. I'm hearing there are 12 truths. But the truths will come much faster as we go around the clock. The first 3 hours were the worst. That's so funny. The first 3 hours were the worst, Cindy. You have no idea. But something is coming to a head here. I don't... 300 years. I'm hearing 300 years. They're not showing me when the snake gets to the lotus flower. Honestly, when the snake's head gets to the lotus flower, the fires come. I mean, it's not something to be afraid of. You were all here for this. Your souls would have been here. They would have been, probably too. Yeah, different forms. Like, if you think about that, like, human DNA, there's Homo sapiens, and there's also Neanderthal DNA in there. We all come around again. This is really interesting, this little pile here. Okay. The lesson not fully learned. Well, yeah, the vessel. I'm having difficulty pulling this. I just keep seeing this like being like moving away from the sun. Maybe this sun is not necessarily our own sun, but it is a sun, like a central point somewhere in our galaxy, our universe, in the galaxy. So we're in the Milky Way, right? Yeah, we're in the Milky Way, aren't we? Are we on the outskirts? Where are we? I'm getting that message. We're on the outskirts of the Milky Way. Is that accurate? I've never really thought about that before. I'm going to say if we're not, I feel like that's where we're going. Oh, okay. So we started in the center of our galaxy. And as you move out of your galaxy, there's actually like a progression of the soul. Like mastering humanity isn't going to be the point that you would incarnate beyond that galaxy and experience, but it gets you closer to the edge. I'm really curious about that, where we sit in the Milky Way. Because we're further from, I don't know, I'm just going to keep channeling this. Because we're further from the center, it doesn't actually mean that we are less than. It actually means we are more of. Look at this snake, right? That's every time the pearls of wisdom, every time come from the source you least expect it. The pearls of wisdom come from the source that you least expect it to come from. That's why it takes so long, because no one will pick it up. No one will pick up the truth. They'll pick up every other truth along the way. We always seem to. A million truths, a million lies are picked up before the one single truth is held and understood. When that truth is held and understood, the fires, the flood, whatever it is, it's a clean slate, and we start all over again with a new truth added to our pouch. I just picture our little human souls incarnating again with two truths. Now this is so cute. It's so cute. We've mostly mastered, but not very much. I mean, mostly to the energy that I am asking about us. If I'm asking the question of, we are just little tiny children who've just picked up the paintbrush and made our first brush stroke. So that's great. It's like, yeah, you're doing so good. I really am hearing that. You're doing so good, humanity. We know you're going to pick up a million falsehoods before you pick up the one truth, humanity. It's good. I just keep hearing how happy the cosmos was when we finally picked up the first truth. I heard the first truth was forgiveness. The first truth was forgiveness. God, that's beautiful. Forgiveness without judgment. That's it. That's all they gotta say. The first truth was forgiveness. Do we use that? I don't know. I guess we do. I'm sitting here thinking, really? Is humanity? Yes. Okay. I'm also hearing that the truth does not have to be utilized all the time for it to be present. It just has to be accepted at least once. These feel like such simple things that are asked of us. And it feels like it takes us a long time. It's so fascinating. Oh, you've mostly mastered it, but you got a long way to go. You are just the young lamb. Because, okay, now what I'm getting with this is the reason why everything gets wiped out is because the purity has to be maintained. There cannot be. This line has to be pure. I understand now why the first truth was so hard, because everything that comes after that is based on it. If picking up the paintbrush is the first truth, if there's lies attached to that, everything that you do after that will never be pure. Would never be the purity of truth. So it was like, it's just like this fireworks going off in the cosmos, like humanity picked up the first truth. And now we have come. There's something here in the line. It's easy to say that, you know, Kim Krantz, who created this deck, wanted that space to be there between the paintbrush and the line that was painted, because just artistically speaking, they are not two lines overlapping, and maybe that didn't look like what she wanted to present. But there is something there in that. These two lines are about to be joined. But it's as if we haven't been looking at it. We've been focused over here. It's something behind us. This feels like more like the front of the head. There's a bit of a dip, almost like in the forehead. There's something in the back, like in the back of our minds, that has to do with the truth. We are very, very close to discovering. And yeah, look at it. Like this gem is almost up to the hand. And as it comes up, the snake's head goes down. I'm going to stick with that. No one can prove it otherwise. 300 years. We're about 300 years away from another, I guess in a sense, a catastrophic ending. But, well, all right. This all comes around again. You can't be so attached to your human experience. All right, that's what I got for that. I'm just waiting. Okay. I kind of like in my head, I ask questions, I don't get any answers, so we can move on. So let's see where the tarot goes with these questions. The Three of Pentacles then. Like the mountain. Oh my God. There's a 3. I'm telling you. From midnight to 3 a.m. That was the longest period of time ever. God, teach that kid to pick up that paintbrush. It's so hard. The 3s. The 3. And even actually here, there's 3 eyes followed by this LXV. I don't know. I know what I learned doing these readings. Scorpios are really good at Roman numerals. That's what I learned. Scorpios are really good at Roman numerals. So you tell me, because I'm not subtracting 10 from 50 to give me 40 or whatever that is. Is that what that is? I don't know. Does that? But then what is the 45? 48? I don't know. Let's pull everything out. The Wheel of yeah, dramatic changes. We are approaching the end of a cycle. Lesson that we haven't fully learned. Oh, Jesus Christ. The 10 of Wands. This is all the lies that we pick up, the burdens. Right? How obvious is that? All of the lies that we pick up, the burdens. Now, this is also coming back to this lie. I'm really curious about that Milky Way thing and where we sit in it. in our own galaxy. But it's almost as like there's lies that tell us how unimportant we are. There's lies that we pick up that tell us, you know, how little we're succeeding. We're just like, I just feel like when we hit this point, it was just the most friggin' miraculous thing ever. Wow. If you could know, but you never would, how many other organic, I'm hearing experiments, like organic experiments that can be incarnated into for experience and lesson and spiritual development that never got to this point. Never. That never picked up the paintbrush for the first time, that never saw the first truth. You would know how valuable you are. Like Spirit's betting on you. Spirit's gone all in here. The minute you did that, no one was betting against us. No one was betting against us in the cosmos. The minute we did that, we got past a mountain that that very few do. So remember that. Remember that. Okay. You know, mostly learned, but it looks like we're far away from learning it. Oh, the Six of Cups. Oh, I love it. The roots. The roots in this tree, I love it that they're bigger than the tree itself, which is very, very important. I learned this from an arborist when I actually had trees planted at the house that I owned. Was the day before my son would be born. I drive by and look at those trees. They're doing so well. They're beautiful. I looked after them a lot. I was told not to fertilize them. Don't fertilize them for the first 3 years. Water them, yes. Don't fertilize them. Even if there's like nearby grass, don't even fertilize the grass too close to the trees. Because what will happen is the tree will grow more upper canopy than lower root system. And, you know, the tree will look good for the first 20 to 30 years, but then in a really strong windstorm, the tree will come down. It'll uproot. It won't crack or break. It'll literally uproot itself out of the ground. So if you've ever had a tree do that, that's probably what the problem was. The upper part was bigger than the lower part. This to me is remembering your soul, and this is the connectedness. This is the connectedness in here, like of the soul. It's underground. This is the part that you don't see, that the most work occurs in. This is the part that you don't see. You're starting to master it. God, it's a tiny mastery. It literally is the fact that you picked up the paintbrush and you made the first stroke. But as an artist myself, I can tell you, like, this isn't just a couple of dots, a nose, and a mouth to complete this portrait. This is all sorts of different artistic techniques to develop shadow and depth and line and perspective and everything. There's a lot that has to go into that portrait. But first, it's the base, right? Like I said, there's 12 truths. And we have one, and we're about to hit the second. And we're almost at 5 o'clock. So we're growing this. Like, these don't seem important, but they're everything. Because nothing can happen until these do. And this is like the dream of wanting to, you know, go into space and travel, if that's a dream. I'm just trying to pick something big and profound. You got to figure out your math first. You know what I mean? Like, you have to figure out your math first before you can do that. And then you have to figure out what elements will survive in space, what elements will survive on Earth and go through the atmosphere and space. Like, you've got to do, these things are so important. You can't create the artwork until you've picked up the tool to draw or paint with. And you can't start it without the first line. Oh, what's at the bottom? Oh! Wow, look at that. You have the Emperor. I love it. It's like this little twig growing. Look at it. It's growing. It's growing the right ways. It can only grow the right ways. It will not be allowed to grow the wrong ways. Okay, I asked a question in my head. I'm like, okay, well, what happens if mankind has so much difficulty finding a truth in our journey here as a species that we've picked up, like, let's say 6 million lies, and we still haven't found a truth? And, you know, when you pick up so many lies, things get pretty bad. That can happen. There'll be, oh, okay, there's cleanses. There are cleanses that happen in that instance. That hasn't, well, no, they did occur here. They did occur here. But it's almost like the first truth of forgiveness almost always prevents such a catastrophe as that. The first truth of forgiveness. I feel like with forgiveness comes much. It's almost like a Russian doll. Like within forgiveness exists love. Within love exists respect. Within respect exists this, and like just so on and so forth. But that in itself is one truth, and it is the biggest, most important truth. It's not, I'm kind of like hearing it's not foreseen that that would be something that would happen. It's something that is not foreseen right now with the truth that we are about to claim. So the Emperor, the Mother of Pentacles, and the Star. Whoa, okay. So the truth that mankind is about to claim is the purity of the divine feminine. Again, this is something that exists in all of us. So there's something here about nurturing, caring. Oh, this is, oh, I wish I could remember it all. I'm getting the Capricorn reading that I did for this. Wow, and the vessel came out in that reading too. The truth. Wow, it's hard to articulate. I found it in that Capricorn reading. I can't, it's like it's gone. It's almost as if I was allowed to see it for a second and then it's gone. The easiest way to explain it is to allow things to be, to allow things to exist. It's something, it is healing. It is healing, something in the divine feminine. Oh. So the tree, that's funny. So the tree can be fertilized soon. After this truth is claimed, which feels like it's something that comes into its entirety within the next 300 years, once this truth is claimed, the tree can be fertilized, because we're moving into, like, this tree is really growing. The tree is symbolizing, I guess, the growth, the movement of the human experience through the soul's journey. This was the hardest part, was forming this root system. We need to all be connected in that. All right, so I'm gonna move. Okay, so this is what I would do. I'm gonna just do the extended version on here. Oh no, you guys, you go over there. So now this is where we ask some more questions. I'm taking off all the underlying cards. All right, so I'm going to shuffle these up, because now I'm going to ask, what are the energies that are transforming around humanity right now and future humanity? What happened here? What did I do? Oh no. Yeah. Oh, that's right. So I'm just doing pre-shuffle. I guess the transforming energies around humanity is a more kind of in our timeline conversational question. All right, are we ready for this? Okay, so what are the transforming energies around the human experience at this time? Humanity's experience. What are the transforming energies? Oh, it's beautiful. The kiss. His relationship. The relationship. So, relationships are transforming around us. We are transforming. I'm hearing we have been transforming through relationships, and we are transforming relationships. Relationships have been transforming us, and we are transforming relationships. I love the two hands here. There's something really beautiful about the divine feminine energy that is somehow connected to the second truth. It's really like this. I see these two hands because one is bigger, so to me it's more masculine, and the other one is kind of smaller, more feminine. So there's something changing here in terms of utilizing our feminine energy to be the fuel that guides the masculine aspects of ourselves. And that's the purity, like something that's somehow purifying relationships. Let me read that for you guys from the book, The Kiss. Oh, maybe people are just going to kiss differently. Maybe that's all it is. I'm reading too much in it. The kiss, the touch, the chemistry, the sex. Before a first kiss, the air is electrified. Each breath is alive with possibility and magic. What will their lips be like? Their tongue? Do they want me in return? The archetypal energy of the kiss is a heightened sensation of merging with other, of letting in what was moments ago separate, to become one. I'm telling you, there's something going on with the feminine, the divine feminine energy that is being sort of like impregnated into us. It is risky but beautiful business. These moments forever changes as we move past the solitary self toward union and acceptance. This card suggests true intimacy is around the corner, which requires bravery and surrender. When the kiss takes a non-human form, it may be experienced as touching the sacred, hearing a whisper, or being graced by a divine being. You will recognize the presence of the kiss by cold chills and an awakening of the heart. Find grace by a divine being. There was a message that came out a long time ago, and one of my, what do I call them? What are those called? You know, messages for the collective or whatever they are, about a child being born. And this child has an innate gift. It's probably no one you know. I'm telling you, this child is born in a place very secluded, very isolated, like a tiny little country somewhere. But this child has an innate gift. There's something here about, because this is what's transforming around us, right? Is the fact that we move from this isolated, solitary self toward union. It is a type of cosmic union that is occurring. I don't know. There's something about that coming up here again. And it's almost like this is some, I don't know if it's like some child that will have great divinating capacity, or someone that would be seen as like a prophet or a guru. But I mean it in the sense of like truly authentic in that. Not, you know, you just think of so many gurus now. I mean, they have conferences and no conferences. This is something that's like, yes, like whispered. It says that, hearing a whisper. This is something that touches humanity, but not through anything that humanity has created. And to me, that would be like exactly what I'm using right now. Now, this is only transforming around us. And then we're talking about timelines. And these timelines are pretty vast in the answers that I'm getting to my questions. So it's almost as if I feel that the first glimmers of an awakening process have just started. But it's reminding me of like a newborn baby that opens their eyes, and apparently I guess they're really nearsighted or can't see any, like it's just like you're barely able to focus on, oh, what's going on here? Look at this. I just realized that the vessel doesn't have a head. And that's part of what we haven't fully learned. But what are we just barely getting a handle on here is drawing the head to this. The conscious awareness. We are a long way to go, like in terms of conscious awareness and conscious creation. Conscious creation. I feel like we are literally the first breath of this awakening. It will be much more profound over the next, I guess, 200 years or so. Write down the story of your first kiss, what has changed in that moment. Intimacy is multi-layered and requires our reflection. Oh, that's it. You can see why this was so important to get past. Revisit what you consider to be sensual, taboo, acceptable, and shameful. I'm telling you, the thing that we we least want to pick up is always the truth. Always the truth. So let's keep going. Keep going. Okay, here we go. Future humanity. Oh, they're not going to tell me how far in the future this is. Future humanity. Future humanity. The poet and the king. The queen, right? The queen is now. This seems really good. I'm just going to say it seems really good because it seems like a proper order in like a structure, a theme that we have created for ourselves, right? The king sits on the highest part of the throne. But it is almost like the masculine part of us being just beautifully inspired. And to me, poetry is like a more feminine energy, or like a very mutable Piscean type energy. So humanity in the future is leveling up. It is leveling up. And it almost looks like holding these jewels of knowledge. There's two here. There's two here. There's a red dot that to me is symbolizing the one that is about to come into the hand of humanity. There it is in the palm. I love this. This is giving me crazy, weird type chills. And then the golden, I guess the golden rule. What is the golden rule? There is a golden rule, right? Somehow it has to be linked to the first lesson. Forgiveness, which is like a Russian doll. Forgiveness, which encompasses love, which encompasses respect, which I don't know. I can't remember them all. I guess I could sit and I don't know. The poet. Oh, it's beautiful. There will be another celebration. When the smoke the moon is held with two hands in the next journey of mankind. And what I mean by the next journey of mankind is when everything has been destroyed again, and then we are asked to rebuild with two truths in our hand. And then, okay, because I'm seeing when the smoke clears, all this smoke here, because there was this mention of like fire. Fire is what will destroy everything. But when the smoke clears, like it is, again, like I felt this message come through about when we got to 3 o'clock and we finally embraced the first truth. It was like the heavens opened up. Oh my God. This just might succeed. Like, and it is like just almost like another celebration in the cosmos. If you were to see what was occurring on Earth, it would look catastrophic and just, it's like a cleanse. It's like a cleanse. And all of the souls are released. But then I see here, it's almost, but what the smoke produces is the next stage. And it has something to do with these two hands, the divine masculine and feminine hand, the divine masculine, the yin and the yang of humanity being one. And then that becomes the next journey into illusion and truth. It's like we did this as separate. we got past the first lessons of the journey of man, picking up the millions of lies to find the one truth. We accomplished both of these stages separate. The two hands together. So now, well, not now, not in our lifetimes. This is not in our lifetimes. Be clear about that. And you know, y'all get hung up and like, we're all going to go to the 5D right now. I'm telling you, humanity has got millions of years ahead of it. I really have always felt that, and I almost feel like it's kind of coming through in this reading, because we're only at this point in the portrait. We are only at that point in the portrait. And then the hands, the two hands holding the moon. And where did we start? It's almost like starting from square one. It's like we have to then discover everything that we understood here, but as a unified entity. A unified entity. Okay, I'm hearing the word rock bottom. I'm hearing rock bottom. Because it is starting like, it is like we start at 1 o'clock or at 12. Okay, there's an anticipation that this, okay, so our first stage of humanity here went from 12 to 3. And then we went from 3 to 5. We're almost at 5. And we're like, you're hearing 300. 300 years? 3 stages. The first one took 3 stages. And that was thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. This stage that we're completing has taken thousands of years. The next stage, with the unity of our yin and yang energy, I am hearing that could be a 2-hour process. 2 hours, right, for the cosmos. Like looking at the clock, going from 5 to 7. It's not as hard as this, but it has its own unique obstacles and challenges to work unified, to be unified. What's the bottom? The bottom? The tear and the ocean. Oh my goodness, we're like a drop. Wow, there's 2 eyes here. In the ocean and up here. Every emotion every one of us feels is seen. It's seen and it's felt in the cosmos. If you could only know, I just feel like if you could only know, like how wonderful you are. Like really how the minute we all got through this first stage, there were no bets on you, against you. Like no spiritual entity would bet against humanity when that was accomplished. No matter how bad it may get. It's like once we did that, there was only one way forward. There's something here about the emerald. There's this little piece of gold where I'm trying to find it. Here it is. I'm thinking, I know. Oh my God. Jesus Christ, it's crazy. It is. Now I can see it. I put my glasses on. There it is. The little round piece of gold that symbolizes the first truth, right? It sits in that lotus flower. And what is the snake going to do but take this truth once we hold it and put it into the lotus flower to come back down, and then it is reborn. There it is, the little gold gem and the great big red gem. So the next, this has something to do with the next journey. It's this emerald. What does that have to do? I don't know if this birthstones symbolize anything. A ruby. This is a gold. This is a seal, right? But to me, it symbolizes this red. These are repeating. This is the same thing. It is held in the hand. The masculine parts of ourselves are what have accomplished these first two lessons, these first two stages. The next stage, even though we are using these two elements of self, I don't know, thousands of years from now. I don't know why we got to know this. It's fascinating, isn't it? Maybe it gives you hope, but the emerald is next in the truth that will be found, and you're not privy to that, and neither am I, because that is something that is part of the soul's journey that is vast. But I'll tell you, there's a hint in whatever the emerald stands for. If there's a month in that, if that month represents a house placement or planetary energy. I'll tell you, I'm going to look it up when I'm done here. No, this goes here. You're all staying where you're supposed to be. Not get it all messed up. There it is. The golden pearl and the ruby. Where humanity's going. The masculine aspects of us. But yet the feminine had to be healed. There's the feminine. So we utilized our masculine, the yang energy, for the first 5 hours of humanity's evolutionary staged cycle. The feminine energy is coming into union with this masculine energy. And that's supportive. It's supportive. These two energies will always be together and supportive. The next lessons really have to do with embracing the moon and humanity's journeys. But these lessons do not come until everything has been wiped out. So, you know, you have to plan around that. Don't, you know, keep your schedule open. Make sure this is recording. It's gonna blow my mind. Okay, good. I just had this feeling like, what if it's not recording anymore? What if I just... Well, it's good for me to know, I guess, right? What the hell? I'll probably forget. I always forget this shit. Once I've done the reading, I have to go and watch it. But then I'm usually like, I don't have time to watch. Cindy's readings are too long. I don't have time to watch them. The kiss, the stingray. Ooh, it's the backbone of everything. It is the backbone. It is the confidence. That's everything. So there was somehow a split in humanity's consciousness of its masculine and feminine, perhaps of its left and right hemisphered brain. The back, does this union occur somewhere in the brainstem? Like literally as an evolutionary progression. Because that's the part that hasn't been joined here. There's something to that. The left and right hemisphere, the yin and the yang, the dark and the light of the moon, right there as well. I'm also being told, like, you can look at this crescent is almost like the evolution of humanity. So this is how far we've come, and there's so much more we have to go. But it's the backbone of everything moving forward. The first lesson was forgiveness, which in itself has much wrapped up into it. The second lesson is unity. And it is the backbone of everything moving forward. The poet. This is humanity and, oh, the golden egg. Wow. The heart chakra. Believe the golden egg represents the heart chakra. The king, The cobra. Very powerful. The cobra protects the egg. The cobra nurtures and protects the egg. The nest. And that, it's like it's coming in and out. It's almost as if, like, in a way that I've received enough, or I've received as much as I'm allowed to know, I'm allowed to share. Okay, one of the things that's coming in with this golden egg is that it symbolizes to me something that will be in the 3D that's never been here before. I'm just kind of like told it's not something that could be explained to me that I would understand. It's like a tool in the next journey of mankind. But yet it's not a man-made tool. It is something that exists in a natural way that has to do with the lessons beyond. Yeah. The cobra as well, I'm just really getting that this is, like, once you see it, you can't unsee it, which is what all of these truths are. That's exactly actually where it becomes, where it's been picked up, like how to symbolize, how to explain how the truth has been picked up. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then once you can't unsee it, you see nothing else. Ah, that, okay, there we go. And then once, yeah, then you see nothing else but the truth. The elk. I'm hearing the magic magi. Oh. The fires. This fire, this cleanse that will occur. It will be, there'll be an eclipse. But there's going to be something very unusual about this eclipse. Like leading up to it. Oh, the eclipse will go on longer than an eclipse has ever gone on. It'll be obvious. I don't know how long an eclipse usually lasts. Like a full. I mean, not just the point where it starts to move in front. The moon is blocking the sun. This is like when it is in its full eclipse and everything is lined up. This is something that would last for days. Then, okay, now I'm getting it with the raccoon, the darkness. It would become dark. An unusual darkness would be cast upon the earth. So biblical. An unusual darkness shall be cast upon the earth in a prolonged eclipse. And then the fires would start. I don't know if it's like a large meteor that is actually blocking the sun as it's coming towards us. Interesting. Okay then. I don't get like freaked out about it. I mean, I'm talking on 300 years at least. 300 years from now. Don't worry about it. I'm still gonna make plans and, you know, save my money for trips. But that's interesting. There's something about, yeah. It's not, something blocks out the sun, but it's not the moon. It's whatever's going to cause the fires. Okay, so transforming energies. Six of Swords. Look at all this rainbow activation. I love it. The emotional building blocks of destiny. The emotional building blocks of destiny. Dropping all these swords. The lies, the untruths. That's what's transforming. We are moving into the direction of truth. It's uncomfortable. There's still a lot of growing pains in this. The idea of hope can be seen when the truth is not so much seen yet. It's almost like the truth is buried in the millions of lies, but these lies are falling away. So the poet and the golden egg, the Eight of Pentacles, the King and the Cobra. King Cobra! Oh, that's interesting. King Cobra. Oh my God. I'm telling you. 300 years from now, judgment. But look at, the souls fly away. You don't need to worry about it. Just don't worry about it. Honestly, like, oh my God. No, just don't worry about it. It'll be fine. In all honesty, I really feel like, too, that the souls would be pulled up before, I don't know, the meteor strikes. Like I'm in a Hollywood movie. But, you know, I'm not going to make fun. Like, this is literally what's coming in. It's not at all what I expected. It never is. I don't know why I come in with any expectations. Damn. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, this Eight of Pentacles is coming in. It's it's exactly where I talked about, where was it? Like the two hands. It's like starting from the beginning. Like it's almost like taking the first lesson, but now doing it in unity, which is going to take a couple hours. Spirit, the universe is ready. That's going to take a couple hours. But it is like, it's okay, now that you've mastered it once, you've built the web. You've created your structures. But I mean, but how would I describe it? Because like you can't see these as like your houses and the buildings, and no. Like you've created the foundation, but now you need to add all the color to this. This is where the details start going in. That makes so much sense. So this line here in the human drawing is going to be completed when the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine energies within all of us come into alignment. Then this line is completed. The silhouette of man, there it is. man is creating himself and doing it in a pure way. It cannot be done any other way. The details are what need to go in here. That makes a lot of sense. It's the details. It's everything. It is the color in the web. There will be something that mankind has 1,000 of years from now when this story picks up again. Something getting it almost like an ability. These elements that don't get destroyed when cleansing occurs on the earth, whether a flood or a fire or whatever. Like minerals, rocks, memories. Mankind, or at least certain people, will have the ability to recapture memories. Oh, no, not even recapture memories, but these are downloads. It's almost like it's not, it is. It's a new sense. Mankind will be born with a new sense. Like, you know how we have like our 5 senses, our taste, our smell, our seeing, our hearing. This is another one. But it could not happen without the yin and the yang, both hands. So maybe this is something you need to hold something with both hands thousands of years from now, and you can download. Wow. Oh, but that's the truth. Okay, so I just kind of got corrected there, but that's the truth. That's not like, it's so funny. I don't know what my guides are, but they're like, Cindy, no, it's not like mankind is born and they can, no, that's going to take 2 hours to get to that's going to be the new truth. Okay, I don't know where else to go with this. The whole thing just seems like way beyond me even. Yeah, judgment and the king cobra. The king cobra. The king cobra. The snake. The snake will always be with us on this journey. The snake is the symbol of everything. Oh, fuck me. Look at the snake is wrapped around the egg. The cobra and the egg. That's just give me a second. The cobra's been protecting the egg all this time. It is a new sense that mankind will be born with in another story, you know, just another chapter that we can't even perceive. So this is quite fascinating. And then the cobra releases from the egg for mankind to find it. And this is a new sense that is incorporated into the evolution. I'm also hearing like the pineal gland. Somehow this is connected between the hands and the pineal gland. Maybe there's something to do with that. Like maybe the pineal gland is sitting, how does it sit there? Is it nestled between the 2 hemispheres of the brain? I don't know. I just feel like I probably have to make supper soon. Back to like the things I gotta do. The Knight of Cups, the Son of Cups. Yes, that is the kind of movement that we need in our world. And that, my friends, is what I have for you. These are not the answers I expected to get with these questions. I think I'll probably make this a premiere, but you probably already know that. This is interesting. I want to sit and watch this. It's the only way I'll force myself to watch this because it's long, right? It's a long one. Well, thank you, everyone. So, considering this is a premiere, I guess we're going to do all the goodbye, so long, thank you, farewell. It's been great, all that stuff. Until next time, my friends, to be gentle with yourselves. Bye.